What's going on, dog lovers? My name is Commander Moose, and welcome to the first of what's going to be an ongoing series where I teach you the tips and tricks I've learned over the years to make a good TARDIS with either yourself or a buddy. Now, since this is the first episode, I think it's appropriate to start from the very beginning of the process, and that's the console room. Now, yes, this series will cover command blocks and commands, and all that other stuff, but we can't exactly do that without a console room first. So, let's generate a world and get started. Now, when I build my TARDISes, I find it best to start in a super flat world. This is just a personal preference, but there are some benefits to doing it this way, such as open spaces to work with and less blocks to render and account for. Because why would you operate with the GPU when you can use the CPU? Isn't that right, Mo? I recommend using a redstone world, as there's no mobs to deal with either. Now that we're in the world, here's a few game rules that will help you with building if you didn't know them already. You can use this game rule to disable mob spawning. It's great when you have really dark areas that you don't want to light up or have monsters in. You can use this game rule to disable the in-game day and night cycle. Again, this is more of a personal choice, but I find it stops you from having to constantly deal with different lighting and having to set it back to day. And whilst we're here, let's use this to disable command block outputs. It keeps your chat clean and it's a lot nicer to work with. We might not necessarily be using it in this episode, but it's good to do it now. Once you've completed working with your game rules, it's time to work on the console room itself. But before we can begin doing any of the actual building, we need to choose a good color palette. Of course, I'm not going to sit here and explain the complete color theory, so here's a video made by Grian about good and bad block choices. It's really to do with houses, but it will still give you a good idea on what works and what doesn't. The block palette is important for deciding your theme, so make sure you've chosen your blocks around that. So here's the block palette I'm going with. As of writing the script and recording, I've not actually made it yet, but I sure hope it does look good, and if it doesn't, well, there's no real point to making this video, is there? Now, there are different ways we can build the console room. I've seen a lot of people turn to use world edit spheres as their main choice of room shape, but I'd highly advise against doing that, as it looks really tacky, and it's not really accurate to any real life structure. You'll also find that there's a lot of areas where blocks will obstruct any actual design and really restrict your overall room. So instead, if you're wanting to build a circular room like I'm going to be, I recommend using an online pixel circle generator to work out exactly how the blocks should be placed to accommodate for the size of the room you want. There's a link in the description which is simple to use and it's designed for Minecraft. Just make sure you select thin when you use it, otherwise it looks a little bit weird. So now that we have our block palette and our overall shape, we can begin building the console itself. Whilst you can build it on your own, I find that TARDIS development works a lot better with friendship, because you'll most likely keep each other still on the path. But since I don't have any friends, I'm hiring these villagers to help me build. Gary, cue the music.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
Say you don't know me or recognize my face. Say you don't care who goes to that kind of place.
the base of the console room. Yours might look slightly different, and that's completely okay. In fact, it could be completely different. Do what works for you and your skill level at building. Just don't copy others. It makes your work look cheap and bland, and you're not really getting anything out of it. But if you think that world development is too hard for you, and you need a quick and easy solution, a world link will be provided in the description below with the console room itself. That concludes the first of an ongoing series of small videos talking about some basic tips on creating a TARDIS. Yeah, there weren't really any commands at all in this video, but the console room shouldn't just be looked over, as it's probably the most important piece of the setup. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest uploads on the channel. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, I encourage you to turn on notifications because YouTube is a faulty system that doesn't reward its users in the slightest, so yay! That's about it, thanks for watching and I'll see you on the flip side. Later guys.